United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Sable.
Yes, ma'am.
Humphries.
Yes.
Siglo. Arnett. Chaika.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Kraft. Parker. Rizzo.
Here.
Did you say here, Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
Business.
We have a quorum.
I think you said yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Said yeah?
All
Okay.
right, public forum. This.
It's just me.
All right, next, we need an approval of the agenda. I did want to add under, oh wait, Lisa, did you get that on there already?
Yeah, I put it on there.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve? I'll second.
Motion by Rizzo, second by Seidel. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on to approval of the minutes.
But I can say you spelled my name wrong.
Did I?
Yep.
Oops.
It's okay, Zach says it wrong.
I was gonna say, I'm always, pronounce that for me, Randy?
Seidel.
Seidel. All right.
Just
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November meeting? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the November meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I've got a motion by Hayes, second by Myers. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No, sir.
Moving on to the treasury report. Carol?
You know what, we just approved the minutes and I found a mistake in it. Sorry. Right on the middle of the first page, it says discussion, all felt it was sick. Oh, and a great kick. My apologies, I just read it wrong.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Treasurer's report. We have $62,770.35 in the bank. We have not received our $11,500 settlement agreement with the village, the judgment. That has not come. It should have, I had an email that it was supposed to come the end of October. I haven't seen it yet. So we're waiting on that.
It was supposed to be your end of October?
Yeah. And we have not gotten our millage either, which should have been here in November.
How much was that?
It's around 16,000.
Who's in charge of giving us that? The village?
Village, yes. On the good note, though, today we got a check, small check, for the personal property tax difference from the state of Michigan for Bruce Township for $485. So I'm expecting then a check from Washington and one from Romeo then. We have outstanding receipts of $181,283. Our tax revenue to date is $11,087, and that was from Bruce Township. And we've made $46.86 in the bank. We've paid the payroll, we've paid the cost of Romeo Haunted Eve for November 5th. We paid for the downtown decorations, the first two payments. We paid to remove the baskets by Van Valley and our phone bill for the month. So I'm asking for $7,795.82 for this month.
What are all the $300 charges on the haunted eve?
Those are the cost of the inspectors, of the
The individuals, right?
investigators
Yeah.
for the event. Each place had an investigator team, and that team it costs out at $300.
And that was part of the
That
second
was all
event,
part,
right?
that's the
Okay.
second part of it, yes. We had one on August 8th, October the 8th, it transposed to my mind, and one on November the 5th,
All the profit was shown in the prior?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But these numbers were in that report we gave before,
Okay.
just they hadn't been paid out yet. Like I said, most of the money's been paid to Cold Frame for the Christmas decorations. We just owe them another $1,000 and we're paid up with them. And then attached is a balance sheet from the QuickBooks, and then our budget to date, year to date, showing where we spent our money and what we should be spending. One good thing is the auditors were in October. We passed the audit no problem, without any adjustment, so that's a good thing. Any other questions?
Yeah, under total assets, we're showing 122,271.47 for the uncollected, but isn't 67,000 of that gonna get paid back anyhow?
That if the consignment agreement goes through, yes. If when the board decides to give them that check back, then the answer to that question is yes, but yes,
So we also have a liability of
yes.
67,000.
But all I've listed on here are assets. I've noted the liability in the bottom part.
Yeah, I didn't see the $67,000
It's
liability.
the number
Second-
right above
second
on
from the-
paid to date.
Second from the bottom.
I'm looking at a different sheet than you are.
No, it's second from the bottom. Oh, you might be, I don't
It's on the
know.
balance sheet. I'm on the balance sheet. You telling me that it got
No,
$122,000?
that's the postage.
Yeah.
That one I can't do until it actually happens, because that's QuickBooks.
Okay.
On our treasurer's report, I can note it here.
Our total assets realistically are about 100 and,
Well, it's $67,000 left,
yeah. About 175,000.
so 120 something. But that's to be collected.
Thanks, Carol. All right.
I need a motion.
Approval to
Motion
pay the-
motion to approve to pay the bills.
Was that your motion?
That's do we have one?
All
All
I'll
right.
make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion
I was
by
gonna second
Rizzo.
yours if that was the
Second
motion.
by Myers. Need to do a roll.
Okay. Rizzo,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sidle,
Yes.
Humphries,
Yes.
Chaka,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Next, we have the DDA director's report. Lisa.
Carol just made a comment, so I'm gonna add to that comment. Because it says report, technically it should be a written report, but for 10 hours a week, I don't feel like I'm gonna spend my 10 hours a week typing out a report, so I'm just gonna give you a verbal one. Obviously, I did the minutes, I prepped for the meetings, sent emails, responded to emails. I talked with Scott at State Farm Insurance, I also talked with Eric Merritt's regarding our insurance policies. We need to get our fidelity bonds back in place. They lapsed last year, or this year, so we need to get that taken care of. I finalized and posted for bid the RFP for the flower and watering contract. I've looked at, the county sends grant opportunities to us every month. I sent you a copy of it. I've looked at a few of them. There are a couple of them that we might be able to qualify for. I'm in the process of looking into it to see if we might be able to get something with some of those. Before the Christmas lights were installed, I talked with Lisa Jarosz just to make sure that that we were on track and, going that. I talked with Julie Glazer from the Master Gardeners, and they have graciously agreed to come back and help us with flowers and flower beds
Great.
and provide us their, thoughts and guidance, and they know what they're doing, so.
That'll be a big help.
I'm very thankful for that. I couldn't be happier.
Well, we all basically love doing it, and it's just unfortunate what happened, so we're all on board to come back.
Great. Glad to have you guys back.
Yeah, really happy with that. I started creating a newsletter to send out to all of the businesses in town, so that they can kind of see and become aware of what the DDA, what we are and what we do. So, we got a couple of responses when we pulled the pots off of the sidewalk. So it's just kind of an idea to let them know where we're at, what we're doing. It's not, okay, we took away the pots, but we're gonna add something back, so don't panic.
Right.
Just a little update, and then I talked with Zach a little bit about it. I think maybe once a year it would be nice to try and do a village mailer, so that the people who live in the village understand who it is that provides the flowers, what we do, what we're there for, I removed the corn stalks in the rain the day
I saw
after
you out there
Thanksgiving.
working at it.
What fun.
I thought we had that in the bid that would just get cleaned up when they did the. But
Just the lights.
Just
so if
the
you
lights.
they took down the lights, but they left the corn stalks.
No, they didn't take the lights.
So
The
you
way
took
we
the-
the way we wrote the bid for the lights,
Yeah.
if we would have wrote the bid for the purple and the orange lights to come down before they installed the holiday lights, we would have paid extra money for that.
Right.
So to save money, I wrote it, take those down, put those up, same day.
So you took the corn stalks down and left the lights up.
Well, we cut the zip tie at the bottom, pulled the corn stalks down, had a guy who came in town, said, I want all the corn stalks. I said, hey, they're yours. Meet me in town. We took them down, loaded them on his trailer, sent him on his way, and Christmas lights went up.
It's a lot harder to take them down with lights wrapped around them, isn't it?
Well, not if you cut the zip tie at the bottom of the light.
Oh, so you just kind of.
Yeah, I just unraveled them. I put the light back on the pole so that nobody was stepping on them or anything, and and I didn't want to do it beforehand because I didn't
No.
want the lights beating against the poles.
Sure.
I cleaned out the closet at the office. That was a
That was
joy.
scary.
Yeah, that was scary. I continued looking for the brick paver plans to try and figure out exactly what's going on underneath those pavers. And
Have you looked at the stuff that's at the DPW?
I have not looked there.
Because there's a bunch of stuff there, older stuff.
What do you mean? What's underneath? What the
Paperwork or
substrate is?
Paperwork,
underneath
yeah,
the-
just crates of it.
Well, I had Zach from Delco come out. He actually came out and walked the sidewalks with me. And he pulled out a couple of the pavers that were already loose. And he pulled the pavers out and pulled away the medium,
Slag.
the slag. There's concrete underneath those. So, did they put them on top of the old sidewalks? Did they pour a ring to put the metal in? What did they do?
I think they use the dust stuff that you use underneath pavers.
Right, well, that's under there, but then underneath that, there's concrete.
The blocks they pulled out, were they out towards the periphery, or were they
No,
closer to
they
the?
were like the second,
Okay, so it's
set
not
out
a case where
from the
there's just
ring.
concrete further out, it's.
right,
all the way.
it was closer to the ring. He wondered if maybe they had a concrete ring underneath that metal ring
No,
to hold it in place, or to make it level.
the whole point of those rings is that you can cut out
Right,
a ring as you need to as
Right.
the tree grows.
right, well,
She's
if
talking
you
about a
look at-
substrate.
there's an
underneath it,
actual
yeah.
ring around those grates. There's a
the
metal
outside,
ring,
right.
The outside of it.
right, that's holding those
Right.
grates.
Do you remember
Square.
it all?
No, it's round. It's round.
Well, there's the square metal rings, right?
Right,
And then there's the
right.
brick pavers that go around in a circle
Mhm.
around that. And that's where we're having the issues with the roots popping those up.
Popping
And
those
that's
up.
causing the hazard on the sidewalk. That's the
Right.
main issue.
Right,
So if like you're saying, there's concrete under the pavers at that point where they're popping up,
mm-hmm.
so basically the roots are lifting
It's
concrete
lifting
as
everything.
well.
Yeah, so that's why I'm trying to find the plans. I've asked Mike to look for the plans, he hasn't had an opportunity to look yet. So we're trying to find the plans so that we can actually see what they did, without having to pull one apart, you know, to figure it out.
It sounds like it might be a bit
St.
easier.
Clair Street was done by Michigan Bell. It was called Michigan Bell then. The last time those sidewalks were poured
Okay,
and that stuff was put in,
okay.
Michigan Bell did it. Because they ran all of their lines under there.
Under there.
From
But
one
isn't-
end of St. Clair Street to the other.
Okay.
But Main Street was done by the Main Street Association, that plaque that's on one of the
It's on the side of the bank.
buildings.
Is that the one that's on the side of the bank?
I'm thinking there's
Was
two
that the
different.
same thing though?
I think they
One's
did,
Main Street, one's St. Clair.
No, I know, but one, was that the beautification project with the big street planters? Or was that was part of redoing the sidewalk as well?
No. I mean, Michigan Bell, I'm just saying a flat statement. Michigan Bell were the last people to tear up the sidewalks in front of my building.
Can I just,
Yeah.
do you guys still talk to that Robert Lipka? I mean, he might have some information regards, I don't exactly know when it happened, but I
Yeah,
think
Robert
Robert's
might
still
know.
around.
It's true.
Carol, do you have his contact info?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll look.
Wouldn't hurt
if
reaching
we
out.
know, if we know who the contractor was that did it, I'm sure they can give us plans.
Did you try calling Marion?
I have not tried to call Marion.
We should have a record though, the village should have some kind of record of what the plans are.
Yeah,
My
but
guess
Marion-
is there's two different processes that they use by the way those things are lifting. They laid a concrete perimeter, they set the round ring in, and then they set the tree guard in that. On some of them, and others, they're lifting all kind of weird,
Right.
like there is no concrete up nearby, so.
Right.
So what you find on one is probably not what you're gonna find on St. Clair, and it's probably not what you're gonna find down by Speedway.
Right.
Because they're all lifting kind of differently.
Yeah, there's some, like, the north end of Main Street, on the west side, there's really not any that are all
Right.
that bad. But you get down like Speedway, the one right in front of the bank,
Yeah.
the one in front of Little Caesars, I mean,
Yeah. And
they're
it's not
really bad.
directly related to the size of the tree, but maybe the roots are growing differently, but they're all moving kind of strange, so.
Yeah, they are. And then the other thing that I did was I was looking for the insurance document to try and find out what kind of coverage that we had
Yeah.
prior to this year. So, that's what I've done.
Well, Merrick provided that to you, right?
Well, it appears that we had Farm Bureau and State Farm.
We had two different policies.
We
One
had
was,
three policies.
yeah, they're all for specific things. Yeah, so they were, we knew about all three of them, they all were
Right.
for something different. At
Two
one
with
point-
State Farm and one with
Yeah,
Farm
at one
Bureau.
point, we tried to combine them, and then we couldn't, right? There was reasons that we had them separated, I don't remember what they were, but. No?
I don't know.
I mean, well, when I talked to Merrick, he said there was no reason that Farm Bureau
Couldn't
couldn't
do all
carry
of it.
all of the policies,
Okay.
so.
Then get it in.
That's a lot easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then, we had talked about too, even getting it on some sort of auto
On auto pay.
renewal.
That's
So
on the-
that this,
that's on the agenda.
so it doesn't lapse again.
Right.
Well, the auto renewal, I don't think can happen, does it? You have to sign every year, right?
I'm sure you gotta sign something, but I don't know what happened
I think
with.
it would be a matter of a signature and, just an auto pay
Mhm.
type of thing.
Every commercial policy I've got, you'll find that as you combine them with the same company, there will be savings. If we're carrying three separate insurance policies and you combine them into one, even if they're covering different things, there's going to be some significant savings on it. I know on one of them, it's a 40% cut on what my premium would be, just because they've got a big enough lump.
Right.
But Merrick was working that then?
Yeah, Merrick is,
I mean,
yeah,
He's good
yeah,
to work with.
yeah, yeah, so,
Alright.
that's,
Alright, thanks Lisa.
My only comment on that is we might want to actually have just a quick written one, cause we got all over the previous person, cause they didn't give us a written one. Director's report, that was a hot topic whenever it wasn't available, so we might wanna just draft one up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a half, 20-minute, maybe, I don't know, not a book,
mhm.
but just something to
Just
slide.
highlights it. Corinne.
Just something to
Well,
slide
yeah,
in
what
there.
if you just put like a quick bullet, and then you
I can do
can,
that.
in the meeting, you can go in.
That's
I
all
can
you
do
need,
that. I
that's
can do that.
absolutely, but I'm just saying there was a lot of contention around that, but, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I got
easy
yelled
to.
at.
Hmm?
I got yelled at again for the audit, but she let it slide.
Yeah, so,
So it is, I mean, they do need it for the audit, then we, yeah.
Okay, alright,
Just like we got kinda yelled at for not having the insurance policies, but
There is a,
it's a
We're
bigger,
we were
it's a bigger
handling
number
it.
than the other one,
there
but.
is
We're
a state
handling it.
DDA group, which I asked Judy to follow up on as to why we don't get the newsletter or whatever. You might find that someone's writing specifically for DDAs by contacting them. I still think we should be,
Insurance policies, you mean?
yes,
Hmm.
I mean, I see it in my business, is that there's companies that specifically are
Target.
interested in, and I'm sure you see it too,
Mhm.
Carol.
Yeah,
There
there
is
are-
there is a state DDA group.
So we should
Don't ask me to
be,
explain more than that.
I think we
And they
belong
do have
to
a
it, too.
newsletter, I don't know why we don't get it.
if we belong to it, we should be getting the,
I don't
the
think we
info
belong
on
to it, I don't
it.
think we paid.
Okay,
is it like the
I don't
M&M
We
remember.
did
of
have this
the-
discussion.
Yeah, but I don't remember ever seeing anything come
But
from
I don't
it.
think
we've
it
seen a
didn't
bill,
get
have we?
followed up on.
Yeah. I remember the
I
discussion,
don't
but
know.
I don't think we've ever been part of it before.
Well, I know what you're
But I
talking
don't know.
about, there are specific insurance companies that deal with municipalities and the entities, you know,
Right.
within a municipality, so yeah. There
yeah,
are,
wouldn't hurt to look into it
yeah.
and
I can
see
look into
if
it.
it's a minimal cost, I'm sure it's worth it. It sounds like we might even save in the long run
Mhm,
as a result.
mhm.
Well, if it's an organization too, just being part of it and getting a newsletter, whatever, may help in some of the things we're trying to do.
Exactly,
Why, reinvent the wheel if it's already been?
yeah, I agree.
Lisa, could you follow up and see if they, how, when, why, what they are?
Yeah, you're talking like a Michigan municipal league.
Yeah, but
or-
there's something like that for
Yeah,
DDAs.
I'll call him.
Um,
So-
I know we had the conversation.
We good on the director report then?
Mhm.
All right, thanks Lisa. Moving on, funding requests, we have none. Committee reports, do we have anything on that? No, I don't think so. I think we're good with the committee reports at this time. We've been
I mean,
working
it
on it.
just ties into other things we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we've gone through the process. We did go and get some of the drone pictures taken by Deb's son, actually. He was able to give us a good rate on that, and I got the shots the other day, and they were good, really good, and I think it'll be a good opportunity for planning, so we'll get some of those printed off, and I think I'm gonna speak with him in the next week or so and maybe go into just some detail on them, but I think it's gonna be helpful as just a tool, so check that off the list, and,
Have you billed me?
Okay, well, I think you just sent me.
oh, did he send me an invoice?
Just now, you should have it.
Okay, alright, we'll get that sent over and
Yeah.
for approval. Well, I don't think, we don't have to approve the check, cause we already approved the,
Right,
Already approved it.
the
If it doesn't
timeline.
exceed what we approved, we're.
exactly.
Yeah, those pictures are nice. It's kind of, if you could take Google Street and do a couple extra clicks
Right.
to bring it in
That's
closer.
that's what it would be,
Yeah.
yeah. So we got that done, and other than that, I am gonna get with, Lisa in the next couple weeks here. I looked at some of the, kind of rewriting some of the website RFP to kind of bring it up to date so we can kind of get that going for the beginning of 2017 and have a better website that's more functional, and we can kind of have a calendar and all that good stuff and send that out for bid and get that going for the beginning of 2017. So that would be it on the committee reports. Moving on to unfinished business. We have the bid approval for the 3-year flower and watering contract. We got one bid back for the flower and water. I spoke to Lisa, and you know, it pretty much covers everything that we want to do. It's just a matter of kind of picking and choosing some of the things that we can afford and what we can't afford. Based on the fact that it's a 3-year proposal, I think the cost is pretty good. But
How is it structured? What was the bid?
well, I mean, that's where, you know, I just got the bid, and our thought process was kind of, we form a committee and have 3 or 4 people go through and lay everything out and figure out what we want, what we don't want, and then approve it at the next meeting. That
How
way we
was
can
the-
sit down with,
With
you know,
Ray.
with Ray, who was the only person who submitted a bid, sit down with some of the master gardeners and the members of the board here, and make a decision moving forward what we can cover and what we can't cover.
Did the bid vary from the RFP?
No, but it did it. I don't know. I
Not really, I mean, you made the comment that he had said there was a couple things in there
Yeah,
that we.
there's some things that were in the RFP, or maybe there were multiple versions of the RFP
Mm-mm.
from past, so no, it was
No,
just,
there was,
okay.
it was one.
We only
thing
bid
that-
on the one that you showed up at your doorstep,
Okay,
so.
right.
Well, there's some things in there that may not apply to our current situation though. Some like time release fertilizers and moisture retaining soils that we probably don't need with the type of basket we have.
Right.
So there's a chance to save some money actually.
Right.
But it's,
Do we
Still
have
need
that
time
bid?
release fertilizers,
yeah.
I would think, because
Okay,
it's
so
up
you're
there for 6
basically-
months.
They're out there every other day though, so.
That's water, that has nothing to do
No,
with
there's fertilizer in that water.
Oh,
So what was the quote relative with to what we got last year? Close?
I'd say it's fairly close.
So it's just a matter of, can we save some money by taking things out of the quote?
Well, and the other thing too is, was it the baskets for
Yeah.
purchasing?
Yeah, the
That-
baskets,
that's a
the
big-
baskets alone, if we buy all the baskets we need,
It was about
Right.
18,000.
But
It's about
the word of caution
$18,000.
is, if you change anything from that, you have to rebid.
yeah.
no, cause it says in there that we have the right to edit those things.
If you send an RFP out, request for quote, you're requesting a quote based on information in the
Right.
document.
Right.
So you can change those things, but you'd have to requote. Unless you strike a line item, maybe, I don't know, but you have to, it's a
Well, it
line, you gotta
wouldn't-
watch what you walk, because unless you bid the baskets as a separate line, and you said, okay, the baskets, we don't want them, they're $18,000, I don't know the number. You know, you gotta be careful, you just gotta be careful,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty safe to
Well,
rebid.
we had talked about, in here, setting it up in like 3 different scenarios.
So if you bid 3
I
different
don't know if it's,
scenarios,
the actual bid looks that way.
but I'm saying, if you bid 3 different scenarios and everybody bid on those 3 and you pick scenario B, that's fine. The RFP gave you an opportunity to bid on 3. But if you go scenario 2 plus or minus, then you no longer have what you bid.
The way
It's-
it's structured is the pots would be purchased in 2017 only. Is how it's structured, that's the only thing that's structured, other than that, it's structured that he would be doing the same thing for the next 3 years at X amount of dollars.
Right. That's fine, as long as,
And how does that go into what we've paid in the past? Or is
Well-
it considerably more?
It's not considerably more, because you take out the fact that he was doing the 27 big pots,
Mm-hmm.
he's not doing the 27 big pots
Right.
anymore. But when you look at the total number of baskets that he would be doing, all the hanging baskets on the pole, we're up to 136 baskets, is where we're at.
so what does the RFP read?
The RFP
136.
is $4,000 more for watering than it was last year.
But the RFP is for the 136 baskets, not the plots on the ground, right?
Right.
Okay,
That's
so
what
it's
it's
just,
for.
if you sit as a committee and you just talk about the price and agree, then I think you're fine, but if you change anything in there, it's gotta go back out.
In the RFP, did you have watering of the alleyways,
Yeah.
the parking lots,
Mhm.
and the outer
Mhm.
pots?
Mhm.
So if you decide talking purposes is you wanna take the alleyways off the bid. You can't just subtract 500 and agree to a new price. You gotta rebid. It's, you just gotta rebid otherwise. Cause maybe some guy doesn't like the water on the ground. So we bid really high for that. I don't know. We just,
But that means if we get into this 3-year agreement, and along the way we find opportunities to save money, we can't do those things?
You're gonna lock in for
yeah,
3
you're
years.
locked in.
But if you get an agreement with, so, we'd like to
That's
save
why we
money
should
on this,
be
that'd be
getting
great,
a
but we can't
discounted
because
rate
legally
if
we're
you're
bound to
gonna
pay you all this money.
Here's the deal,
Guaranteed
it's just
3
like,
years.
it's just like contracting your parking lot, right? You can either pay per plow, or you can pay for the
I
winter.
don't understand.
I know, but, so one winter you're gonna pay $5 grand and only have to plow twice, and the next winter you're gonna pay $5 grand, the guy's gotta plow 40 times. It's just, it's how the deal works.
Gambling.
Yeah, so if you agree to 3 years, you're agreeing to 3 years.
Right.
Yeah, but that's between, now, when we're talking about the purchaser and the provider, you know, they're the ones saying, you know, the provider's saying, hey, we don't need this time release fertilizer, we don't need this moisture retaining. We can't,
You gotta rebid. Cause you send it out to everybody else to bid, we only have one return bid. It's kind of a moot point, but you still have to rebid it. If you take time release fertilizer off, it's a different
You're
RFP.
gonna need the time release fertilizer.
Yeah.
And you're gonna need the water saving dirt.
well, I'm going with what the expert told me, so.
Right. So if everybody agrees with what he has, then it's just a matter of yes or no. But
Well,
if
it becomes it's more of a, can we afford to do?
Right.
I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I'd make a motion right now, but I mean, I don't know if we have the money to pay for all those pots or the hanging baskets this year. You know what I mean? That's a
Right.
good chunk of money, and that's where the
Why?
why can't we?
Why can't we pay it?
Aren't they like $4,000, something like that?
It's
It's almost
18,000, right?
18.
So what?
Well, it's got to come.
I'm
from
for doing
somewhere.
it
No,
because.
I'm serious. I'm absolutely dead serious. We're sitting on the money.
I mean, it's
We-
about
we
the-
took the pots out, and let me tell you, there are definitely a lot of people don't understand that. We can
Yeah, they're
we
not
can
happy
play this
about it.
out until hell freezes over, but you gotta let them understand why we did it, which
Right.
hopefully the people watching this will
Well,
understand.
we've been talking about it
And
for 4 months.
let's
4
put the
years.
money into the new pots, because that's what taking the old pots was about. And sitting on the $70,000, it's not doing anything. Let's do something with it.
Do you want to make a
The
motion?
difference is that we can't spread that over 3 years. We have to pay that out. in 1 year.
Understand that,
Yeah.
That's the
but
difference.
let's,
So, we took pots out, these new pots are all hanging, or some new pots are going on the
I'll
ground?
hang
No,
it.
these, all of them go on the poles. Some will wrap around the poles and be lower, where the others are the hanging like you see out there right now.
Zach, you don't think we're ready for a motion on this?
I just got the bid
Okay, so
before the meeting,
At the
so
next meeting, we should be ready to accept the bid, buy the pots, and we're getting late because we're now getting back into January, which we had the same discussion last year about
We were okay in
these
January. it was
things
late, yeah.
have got to be made.
right.
The
Get
decision's
it
got to
out-
be made at
get
the
it out
next
of the way.
meeting. So, we
Chili,
could-
don't they have to be planted pretty
Yeah.
soon?
And they have, the grower has to plant them, that's why
Yeah.
the decisions have
That's
to be.
what I was worried about.
sooner than that, you know.
we had exactly the same discussion, and this is crunch time right now.
So the variation between the bids from last year is that it's basically the same price for each year, but the difference is an upfront charge of 18 grand to
No, I
buy
thought
pots.
he said it was 4,000 higher.
The watering. is
Well, it's a little
4,000
water,
Watering
you got
and
more
what about
things to water.
plants?
So
Plants should
Do
be
you see
probably
them?
about the
But you took
same.
away the
another
pots, and you really
22,000.
didn't want plants?
Is this
So yeah, you gotta do them on little rings,
I'm not arguing with
plus
this.
you're doing all 44 more hanging plants.
I don't know,
That's the
how-
water
volume
price
wise,
for
how does that
last year.
compare to all the 27 big pots
That's
that
the
we took
water
out?
for last year.
You know?
Yeah,
Maybe
And
it's
you
not that.
take this,
You paid almost 17 grand in water last year?
Yes, pretty close.
Holy crap.
That was maybe just almost 15.
you divide this by 3,
Was it 14 maybe?
So 20,000
I
dollars.
put it away.
divide by 3.
14,
So just
$20,500 bucks.
All right, this is the pots.
Yeah, 4
And
grand.
you add all these together, This is not your total number, because that includes those.
Oh, we have
You add these together and divide it by 3.
No.
And what
Right,
you
which
do.
is this number divided by 3.
No, this is just water.
Oh.
This is water.
Oh.
That's what we paid
This is water.
this
This is
year
flowers.
from July.
Mhm.
So that means you
That's
have
what
two
they are.
more payments to do.
So if you
Ray
figure
did say
them
that
out-
the flower,
No, just for
the
everything.
cost for the flowers was the same, he didn't raise his
$2,300
rates on that.
So what was our flower price last year?
25, so I have 5, 16.
4,000 something?
We just have a lot more flowers.
10,269.
How much?
10,269. That included the basket and
That
hoop
includes the
installation.
basket.
Now, this includes the setting up, putting them up and
Okay.
taking them down. So that's added
We
into
were
this too.
looking for a single
Right.
bidder, so we didn't get caught with some horrible situation
Right.
where
Right.
we're
We can't
asking
get the
them,
water.
no, it's got to be one bid and everyone's, that's it, we're done with it.
So, should we just, do we have time if we decide in January, or are we too late?
I think we're running awfully late, and
Was
that's,
there-
that was a discussion
we
last year.
spent, yeah, the master gardeners and I, and we discussed it with Lisa, we've got the designs already planned.
Mhm.
We just have to tell the grower.
Okay,
Now Ray, I work with Ray because once we kind of got left here,
right,
we went down to St. Clemens, and Ray does all of St. Clemens. So we've been working at St. Clemens and we've been working with Ray.
okay.
We have to get with him the first or second week in January to tell him what plants we want to
Okay,
get going.
so we,
Because some of his
January's
plants,
still
he
okay.
doesn't do exactly from his nursery, he has to order the
that,
seeds and
that was my
stuff.
understanding.
And that's why it needs to be done by the middle
So the
of,
issue we're gonna have is
you know,
if
a lot
we do something
sooner than
different, we
later.
have to do an
Is there
RFP
any-
in January.
otherwise what's gonna happen is that he
Yeah,
can
we
still
can't.
do
Just
it,
decide something.
but then you have
Right.
pots going up
Table it.
that
Right.
nobody can
Exactly.
see anything in.
Can we do a
And
separate
then that
email
causes-
approval or
Yeah, I
something like
understand,
questions
I
without
agree with you
involving-
I
explicitly.
probably would have
That's
this
cool.
one, yeah.
So
We'd have to
we're
call a
going to
special meeting.
bring this to an end next meeting?
The only issue we have,
Okay.
right, well, you can say it. I mean, the issue is if we just are going to agree in January, then we're cool, but if we need a new RFP, then we're really.
I don't think we need an RFP. I'd make a motion tonight, but
I'd
You must
second
be
it.
in a flowery mood.
Do you have-
I wanna stop
Do
talking
you wanna
about
make
it.
the motion?
You have
Because
everything.
Ron
First of all-
said that he would,
I never seen what the
Second.
bid is, we got to
Well,
get
none
it.
of us have seen the bid.
Now we make a motion.
I've actually seen it.
Okay, this is the difference, all right. Last year, the flowers, including the installation of the pots, was 10,269. For the next 3 years, the installation and the removal of the pots and all of the flowers, for all of the pots, for the 136 pots, plus the 4 rectangular, plus the alleyways, plus the gazebo, plus any of the other flowers that we need, will be $14,450. So there's a difference of $4,181 for flowers
Per year.
per year for the next 3 years.
Does that include brackets? 'Cause we're
That
only
includes
It
brackets.
does.
Okay.
That includes the brackets. That's the pots. That's him putting the brackets up and the pots up and taking the brackets down and the pots down. Dumping the soil, taking them to the DPW. That's him doing everything. It's him planting them, that's everything.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You guys were talking for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months about getting different light poles. And then you said the new light poles would not support any weight on them with flowers.
No, that
That's if
was
we did the
it.
DTE like
That's
this.
a DTE took possession and paid for it, which we said we're not going to touch because we don't want to take away the ability to hang flowers or put banners up or anything like that.
We could still change the lights.
We could still,
change
yeah,
the
we can
lights.
change,
Yeah,
we
we
can,
Keep our poles, we put flowers on there, change the
Exactly.
lights,
Yeah.
and we're still in control.
yep, exactly.
Yep.
We didn't want to lose that option.
No. Last year, water was $16,780.16. For the next 3 years, the water will be $20,473 is what it will be.
$4,000 extra a year?
$3,600 extra a year. But you have to take into consideration the fact that he had,
We had 44 baskets
right, we had
last year.
44 baskets last year, hanging baskets last year, 27 on the ground is what we had. Now we're talking 136 hanging baskets and all the watering on the ground. So there's a lot more, there's a lot more to
And
it.
a lot more work.
There's
too.
a lot more to it.
4,100 includes the
Give-
additional flowers for all the new pots, the 3,600 additional
so
includes
you're
all the watering for all the new
$8,000
pots.
more per year.
So to do what we wanna do, which is hanging the the double-sided ones, and
Right.
it's
And the
it's
C-shaped
$8,000 a year,
More.
and you haven't told us how much the baskets are gonna cost, so that's the
That's the
wild.
$18,000.
Above and beyond that.
It's the two top numbers, it's
Yeah,
18.
it's
I don't wanna
Ted's
say,
got it.
I don't wanna say this out loud, but I kinda agree with Bill.
just.
Just
Well,
let's
hold on.
read.
Right, the
You're gonna give me a
but-
heart attack.
But
Don't
where,
do that.
where would the $18,000
Right.
come from the budget?
Right, that's the.
What part of the budget is that 18,000?
We've got, what, 122,000?
No,
I
we don't.
think that it would take from our brick and mortar.
I agree.
And
That's where it's gotta come from. It's the only place we've got any kind of,
And what do we have there?
anything. We got 30
Can
grand
you-
in brick and mortar.
can you use,
I
I
would-
mean, it's a tangible asset, right?
I agree.
So I think you can buy them, I mean, legitimately, I think you can buy them
I'm
on
dead
a
serious
brick and
about this,
mortar.
yes.
Well, the 18 come from brick and mortar,
Yes,
put it
okay,
that way.
then, given the numbers that Lisa gave us, and she can fill in those blanks, I would make a motion that we go ahead and,
So we got
Except
$18,000
the RFP.
more than this then.
no,
Accept the RFP?
Accept the RFP and sign a contract for it.
The
I'll
18,
second that.
And the 18,000
I-
specifically is coming out of the
It's-
brick and
let's
mortar.
make sure that it's a one-year
Alright.
deal on 18.
Right, yeah, the 18 grand is 1 year.
That's
so.
a one-time
I understood that
purchase,
fully,
right?
yes.
Alright, so we've got a motion on, motion by Parker, second by Rizzo, to approve the RFP submitted by Vans Valley, with the 18,000 for the hanging baskets. As written, coming from the brick and mortar portion of the budget.
So we're gonna be spending 63 plus 18 in 3 years, right? $18,000 is above and
63
beyond.
is just water, add 10 more grand per year for flowers.
Right.
10?
No, it's more than that. Look at the two
No.
total numbers.
Here,
14.
Ted's got
Ted's
it.
got it.
Yeah, okay, but it's that plus the cost of the flowers.
Right. The 18's a one-time shot.
The
18's a
18 is
take
a
that out.
one-time
So
shot.
take that out completely.
So when we're
So
done,
can we stay
One-time
under
shot.
$26,000 for watering and flowers? What's the bid for
Per
you?
year?
I think that's
Yes.
about where we're at, isn't
Because
it?
that's what's in our budget.
No, we will be at,
so
Or was it 14 and 20?
I'm looking at the budget. There's 20,000
it's
for
14,450 for plants.
14,
well, 14 and 20 doesn't add up to 26.
14,450 for plant, 14,450 for plants, and 20,473 for water.
So it's 30
No,
plus 35.
no, that seems like an awful lot.
Look at it again, maybe.
Is
I
that for
got
3
mine.
years?
Look at it again.
It's a jumbo deal if it's 3 years.
Yeah, I think I should print that out.
Could we, yeah, I'm sorry.
Have you ever seen this?
One of the things that,
The flowers in it?
Oh, now with flowers in it.
Look pretty good.
Let's make life a lot easier.
Take this off.
63,040. 63 minus 18.
I had
Spelled
one,
out
and
more
I actually
carefully.
gave
might be
Lisa
something we need to do.
19.
checked it out on the poll.
Because we don't really know what our numbers are.
Right
The
on
question I have
hang,
is,
You can put any
And
level
then
you
one
want.
when we
from
bought
I
all
think
these
they're planning on putting in
44.
About
Right.
midway.
Divide that by
Water.
3.
Water went up for
That's 1 and that's
Yeah,
14.
yep, exactly.
That's,
And what's
that's,
a-
we have a lot more than what we
And then
have.
you're gonna take it
So now
off.
hang
You're
on,
gonna
There's
dump
the
that
water
soil
right
right
You
there.
haven't, that doesn't
You're
include
not
water.
saving any of the
No,
soil.
it does not include water, that's
No,
just
it's
plants.
the cost of
For
water.
136
Yeah,
plants.
that's how I did
Flowers.
the layouts for it, and it's, like you said, we're gonna
There's
have
no
the
way we
double
can do it.
hanging.
This is why,
On the- for the high ones.
I
And
kind of
then
wanted
the-
to talk.
Every other
To
pole,
make
which
sure we
would
had
have
the
a
right
banner.
numbers.
We should
it'll
leave.
have
We
these
need to
wrapped
wait.
around lower.
There's no way we can afford it.
Okay, then let's table it until, but let's ask Ray to come in and explain.
Hold on.
The numbers might all be there.
Because he's saying 14,000 for flowers per year, plus another 20 grand to water them.
Right, so 35 grand for
That's
flowers.
35
Look at
per
this.
year. We can afford 26. We'd have to come up with 9
So
grand
you
from
take
someplace.
this right here,
So we have to come up with 9 grand from someplace.
and you take away
You know, our
that,
budget's tight as it is.
and then you take that away.
Is this
from
one of the
second one.
opportunities to go back to the village and ask them for some help?
So this
That
is
would be
40.
On the
Nice.
18,000, they said they wanted a project, so then we could pull from the brick and mortar budget to help cover that 9 grand, but we need 9 grand from the village
Which is
to,
3 years.
Help pay for the
51,
new
49.
pots.
what are the odds of that?
divided by
Oh, look at that side of the room.
It's 35.
Well,
They
hold
seem to
on,
have more
hold on.
answers.
Right now, though, we've
Yeah.
got the motion on the table, and we've got a second. So,
She's got 26 on
But it-
the.
our,
We're willing to
And we're
pull
in
that.
discussion.
All right,
I mean, I'm looking at raw numbers
I mean,
and,
that motion can die.
They just pulled it. Bill
Okay.
pulled it.
Now, why don't you get that all lined up and everybody has it in front of them, so we see what the hell
Let's
we're
see if we
doing.
can get Ray,
But if-
I'll
see
get
if we can
Ray.
get Ray to come in and explain
Right.
it, because we're
Okay.
obviously not quite.
and to see
certain.
if the
Right.
village is willing to come up with any,
Right.
at least half of the cost of the pots.
so $9,000.
But when would we be able to take that in front of the village to even ask them?
We've got to make up
In
our mind at the
December.
next
2
meeting.
weeks.
End of statement.
I agree.
We know that because we had exactly the same conversation as it dribbled on last year.
Why
And-
couldn't
and
we
it's a
make a
little different.
proposal to the village at their next meeting in December to ask them if they're willing to work with us
Well,
to
because
do a project?
then they're gonna say they have to go back and look at their budget and see where they're gonna get the money from, and then we're gonna be into January and we're not gonna have an
Well, I
answer.
just gave them $67,000 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Where'd
but
it
they
go?
already spent that because they knew they have.
Well, the thing is,
Exactly. You
the
can-
18,000, we just said, we can pull that out of brick and mortar, okay?
Yeah, but
That's
now
The
we're-
contention is the other money for the watering in the plants. We got one RSVP back, or whatever we call them, we got one estimate. If we don't take that, what are we gonna do?
No, this is
Go back to the
not
drawing
that.
board.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Then
if
they
the
have to
estimates-
break it down
What are
and
we looking
send it
for?
The
out.
RFP.
RFP, that's what I meant to say.
But if the RFP was 180, we have to make
I
a
don't have that.
decision. and say,
Okay.
it ain't gonna happen.
Well, you know, all's
The
well
only
and
thing
good,
I
we
can
have
tell
enough
you
in brick and
guys
mortar
is
even to
that
cover
it's
the 9
Very
if we have to.
difficult to find one,
I'm
not that
more
I'm
worried
saying.
about-
Sorry.
One
only
second, one
Ray,
second.
We've got an expert in the audience,
But
let it
it's,
talk.
it's gonna be very difficult, and I'm not pushing you to go with Ray, you only got Ray. But with the other growers, it's hard to get one person to do the flowers and the watering.
Right.
That was always an issue before, was, you know, the people that we had for the flowers, they didn't have the equipment to do the watering.
Right.
So I think, you know, like I said last year, I think we were very fortunate to get Ray to be able to do both. So that's something that you have to go out and rebid, I don't know what you're gonna do.
But we can't
Well, I'm
accept
just
this
wondering
You can't
if
accept it if you have
without-
questions,
without-
absolutely
without
not.
the-
checking things out.
Well, without, if we said, okay, we'll just forget the additional hanging back, because that's the 18,000 is what's hanging us up right now, but we can't accept, I mean, based on.
No,
Randy,
that's
what
not
you-
my problem.
18,000 is not-
18 is no problem.
No, but if we
The
just,
problem is the 30,000 per
No, I
year.
understand.
we have two problems
It's 2 problems.
or more.
I don't have a problem with the 18, going with the other one.
18 is no
I
problem.
don't see the problem.
It's the coming up with the money for plants and committing that we're gonna pay for plants and water for the next 3 years for $45,000.
35,
35.
35.
Yeah, 20 and 15.
45. It's 63 minus 19 is 44. So 44 over the next,
It's 45,715 and 61,419 divided by 3. So it's 106 divided by 3. It's
35,000.
35.
We only have 26 each year. So I mean, we're compounding this 9,000 each year.
We've-
That's what I'm worried
But
about.
We've got-
let's take a look back though at last year. Remember the bids for watering last year? Compared, I mean,
It was like
27,000, I think?
Yeah, but, I mean, they didn't want the job.
They didn't want the
Right.
job, that's
They
why it was
didn't
so
want the
high.
job. I mean, so I guess we're tabling this with Lee and giving us like a
I
little
will
bit of a
I'll get a
spreadsheet.
breakdown from
Mike,
Ray.
And then the question would be,
I don't
so
know.
can Carol
It's
go
gonna
look
be
at the
a-
budget and decide what it is that you?
I'm not so much worried about this year's budget.
Right.
What I'm worried about is the next 2 years' budget. What if our TIF goes down and our monies go down? We're committing for something
that's-
that we don't have money
Well,
for.
but that's gonna be the situation if we bid anything out for 3 years, though. I mean, at
Yeah.
that point, then we shouldn't
We can
bid something
sort it
out for
out
3
later.
years. We were trying to get it down to a point where this is wrapped up, it's done. There
Why don't
weren't-
we get it and then with options for the next 3 years? instead of committing for 3
So
years,
then you're going back
do
up.
options for the next 3 years.
You
What
have
else
to take
do
into
you-
consideration the water price too.
Right, exactly. We're paying today's price tomorrow, you know,
And
2
watering
years.
is just labor, it's
But
not
we-
even the cost
but
of water.
we've seen that go up significantly over the last, at least the 2 years I've been here.
Right.
We've seen that water contract go up consistently, right?
That's why I say option.
But
So-
that would have to be rebid if we do that.
That would mean, no, it
It's gonna
wouldn't.
have flowers.
We did that with the
We're
rent
trying to
contract.
have a
It's not
lot
gonna
more.
get
We
cheaper.
optioned it for
You know
3
what I mean?
years.
It is not gonna get cheaper.
No.
No,
But the question is, can we, okay, what do we want to do? So even if Lisa comes back and cleans up all the numbers and it looks pretty close to what we gotta agree that we're gonna steal $9,000 from somewhere else on that sheet for the next.
for the next 3 years.
Yeah, and the only thing we,
Just do it.
but the only thing we have in here that I can see is we've got 4,000 for the website, and we've got 1,300 for meeting and conferences. That's still only 5,300. We're still short.
Well, we had what, 3,600 in brick and mortar? Or 36,000, I'm sorry.
Right, but once that's gone, you got no wiggle
The
room for
30 the
nothing.
brick and mortar doesn't carry
So-
over, right?
Right.
We're not supposed to retain that money anyway, are we?
Unless you have a
But you
project.
have to have a working, you have to have so much money to take you through till you get your funding. So you gotta look at that realistically too.
Just have an out on that 3-year contract.
Well, I don't think it's not, I don't think the problem's necessarily that it's 3 years, because we wouldn't be able to, based on what we're saying, we wouldn't be able to afford it for 1 year. We'd still have to find, I don't think he's giving us a worse price because it's over 3 years.
Well, I suppose since we'll
We're
be
trying to do
getting
a
the
lot more.
11.5 for the next 3 years for sure,
Yeah,
maybe we
we know.
at least we know we're gonna keep
We do
getting
our
that
budget.
money. So as long as we're getting the 11.5, we can afford it. But
How
once
long-
we
how-
lose that,
How many more years do we get that for?
I think it's 5.
5 more
I
years?
agree with you,
I think it's
specifically.
5.
And when we run out of money in 5 years, fine, the village, you can explain to the village, we're stopping this because we don't, the village took all our money. I don't know what, there isn't any other, there's no
There's no
magic.
option on it for that much.
There's no magic out here.
I agree with you, Bill.
I do too.
So then we go
I
back-
second the
Can I ask you,
motion.
can I just ask a question real quick?
We're stopping.
As long as I can figure out where it comes from.
All right,
Yeah.
how much do you have budgeted for a director?
You can quit.
No, I'm not gonna quit, relax.
22,005.
Okay, but let's think about this.
And we have
okay?
4,000 against it right now.
Okay, well, let's think about this. If Zach has the, you know, because you have to post the position.
Right.
So regardless of whether you, the DDA queen or king or whatever may come in and apply, and if you pay them at $15, 15 hours a week at $15 an hour, that works out to $11,700 a year. If you keep me
At
at the rate of
10%.
pay that I
All
get,
right, that's what
you're still saving yourself
Fine.
almost 10 grand. So there's another 10 grand.
all right.
She's right.
There's another 10 grand.
I guess,
I think I'm comfortable as long as you're still getting 11.5.
Even if we weren't, it's up to the village to tell them we're not gonna do flowers.
okay.
I would
It's
hope
up,
so.
it's up to the village council to say that. So,
Do you wanna
given
go-
that, I put my motion back on the table and Ron's seconding
there.
it.
All right, we got motion.
Well, let's go through it again. You're saying
Okay.
we're currently paying 20 grand, and then pots, 26 grand at the current time. That's what our budget
That's what we
is.
have in our budget, yeah.
And we're gonna go up to 35,000.
Correct.
So you're adding some.
Well,
We're adding new
36
pots.
because we want to do fungicide too.
Go ahead,
Call
Ted.
it.
Because you're adding new pots, and you're putting more flowers into the pots, because you're adding new pots, and you gotta water more.
But we're more than doubling, almost
the amount of
tripling what
flowers.
we have downtown in flowers.
Right, last year you had 44 hanging baskets.
Right. Well,
We'll have
that's true.
100
Some of them were on the ground, so it's not, it's more like a
Right,
double
but I'm just
deal.
saying, you had 27 large pots on the ground. You're gonna have 136 baskets on the poles, is what you're gonna have.
But the
Throughout
ones
the
that
building.
are
We also
the
added
rings,
some
you can't
ground
count as
stuff,
two.
If you,
too.
well, you count, those are, that includes
one.
those.
Let's not forget that the south end of town was
Right.
barely even,
Oh,
was
that's
missed.
true. It was
So
missed.
we didn't even have that last year, so.
All right. So it's just a whole bunch more of everything, Ted. For 9,000 more a year,
Let's see here.
plus an
I can tell you
upfront
exactly what it is.
$18,000 hit.
Is it gonna look too gaudy? Is it gonna look
Project-
good?
No, it's gonna look.
It can
it'll
never
look-
look
yeah,
too gaudy.
It won't ever, not, you're asking a flower person if it's gonna look too gaudy.
This is what,
It's just gonna look more beautiful.
It
If,
is.
if the few we had looked good this year, just imagine,
All right, are we in? Are we
Best we
going?
ever
Are
had
we
was
doing-
last
We've
I
had-
think it'll
We doing a roll
definitely-
call on this?
It'll definitely offset the people looking.
Can we call a
for
question?
this. I mean, it's just gonna,
Hmm?
Can we
yeah,
call a
it'll
question?
subsidize the pots
Yeah,
that we
that's
use.
what
you think,
Yeah.
don't forget the
Wait,
pots.
They'll forget
That's
the
what
pots.
Lisa's
Do you
doing.
think that'll,
we've already
Don't
kind
forget
of
the
lost
pots.
our
They'll forget
pens
the
on
pots,
that.
cause they're gonna have flowers all over the place. We designed
Should we
different colors
restate the
and.
motion or?
Yeah.
All right,
So-
so
Alright.
we've got a motion by Parker, second by Rizzo
To
to approve the RFP
As
as
written.
written, with the $18,000 coming from the brick and mortar projects.
Price
and
of pots,
for the, or I'm sorry, what is that?
the price of the pots.
Pots.
The pots, yeah.
did you
Alright.
guys price them out or is that from Ray?
That's from Ray.
Okay,
That's
so
in-
this guy was a good
yeah.
deal there.
All right, so Lisa, will you do a roll?
Yeah. Okay. Parker,
Yes.
Rizzo,
yes.
Seidel,
Yes.
Humphreys,
Yes.
Chaika,
Stain.
and abstain.
Yeah.
You have to have just cause.
No, he doesn't.
No.
You don't?
I thought you had to have
No.
just cause.
He doesn't have to have just cause. He's just decided to abstain. That's it.
Why would I have to explain to you what I do?
He
what I
doesn't
do?
have to explain himself.
A vote?
Nope.
Yes. Okay.
Hayes,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion carries.
All right.
I'll need a copy of the RFP.
Now that that's been approved, we're gonna be getting ready to sit down with Ray, like, the first week in January for the church.
Okay.
Will it be okay for me to sit down with Ray and discuss the flowers for?
Sure.
Yeah,
May?
absolutely.
Okay,
And then
Thank you.
just keep either myself or Lisa in the loop with everything.
oh, absolutely,
Great.
yeah,
Let me know and I'll
Lisa's gonna loop, she's
yeah.
gonna loop during the whole project.
Right. All right, next on the agenda, we have the executive director position posting approval. I kinda wanted to just get this, taken care of so we know who we're dealing with on the board, what positions are available, which positions aren't. Since, Lisa is our director at the moment, but also technically is a spot on the board.
She's a liaison.
So I met with Randy.
Secretary.
We went through, we kind of looked at the previous job posting that was in there because we do have to get it posted. And we went through, we made some changes, kind of updated it a little bit, and you should all have a copy of that in your packet. But we just wanted to get the board's approval before we actually post this and go through the hiring process, the interview process, so we can get an
Can I make
official.
one suggestion, and I didn't see it on here when I was looking?
Sure.
Can we as a board require that the person that we're looking at for possible hiring be a resident of either Romeo, Washington, or Bruce?
I don't know if we
For
can.
$15 an hour? Are you kidding?
I'm telling you, it's well worth the money.
Zach, do you remember I sent you the one that
I think
stated?
that was a sarcastic 15.
I
Wait.
stated, I remember I sent you the one that was an example. that stated they wanted the person to be a resident, that they would prefer that the person be a resident?
That was a sample
put the word-
posting, or?
That was a
When we
posting
did
off of the
prefer-
Can't we
MML
put
for an
preference,
executive
can't we
director.
add the statement that preference will
Preference.
be given to a resident of,
You can put it as preferred but not required.
Preferred but not
thank you.
required.
When
And
we
why
did
don't we
the
add that in
first-
there if that
when we-
needs to be put in there?
When we did the first, where we did the matrix interview and Matt and I sat down, Matt Ponke, we had, and I think I mentioned this, we had, 10 qualifications we were looking for, and we rated everybody on each one, and one of them was resident. But you wouldn't win the job just because you're a resident when you were the worst candidate in the pool. Right,
Oh, true.
so.
Well, do we wanna close it out to potential, I mean, what if there's somebody who's
preferred versus
perfect for the
required.
job, but we won't look at their resume because they're not from Romeo, Washington, or Bruce?
That's why you
I
put
didn't say-
Well, by
preferred.
preferred though, you look at
Yeah, you
everyone,
put
but
preferred but not required.
if it's this one or this one, this
So
one's
that
a
way you get
resident.
one you like, you can't rule them out because they're not a resident.
Right.
And you can't.
But if
prevent
you're gonna
them from
take a
voting.
choice between two equals,
Mm-hmm.
Correct,
you're gonna choose the resident as opposed to
Sure.
somebody that lives in Algonac.
correct.
I agree.
You know what
So
I'm
that's,
saying?
so that's all you want on there added.
So that's
is
under.
Well, I know people live in Algonac.
not gonna
But
drive.
that's a distance.
So where are we adding
You're late
that?
on that one, but I
I
agree.
think it would just go under.
Qualifications?
I'm trying to be nice. See, that's not my character.
Do we wanna add that under qualifications or required knowledge, skills, and abilities?
No,
Probably
I
qualifications.
think so, I don't, well, we're
She's
actually
acting, she's acting as she's the acting director.
So what, preferably a resident
Because we
of
have
Romeo,
to-
Washington, or Bruce?
Well, of course,
Yeah,
you have to do it because it's a,
It-
we're a
it's an
state
obligation. You
created,
gotta-
yeah, we're a state created entity,
you
so
have
we have
to
to
do
do it.
this.
Okay, I didn't know that.
No,
Because I didn't realize
no, we
that.
just can't hire her because of all of those strange.
Excuse me, not to interrupt, I'm gonna head out.
Thank you for
But
coming.
thank you
Coming.
guys, thank you guys
Welcome
for
back.
bringing us
Let me know
back.
when
We're
you
really
need me.
excited.
Good, we're glad to have you back.
I'm glad that-
All right,
It's nice to have a public too.
It's nice to have somebody care.
So
Well,
we're
do you
gonna,
want me just to sit here and listen to you?
so we're just going to add the one sentence and then we're ready to. post it?
Hairspray will be on TV pretty soon, you better hurry.
8:00.
Did we agree
Yeah.
on that?
I'm sorry, I
Do you
didn't.
need a motion on that?
Yeah.
With the sentence about preference given or residency in those areas preferred, I would recommend we have that posted.
All right, so we've got a motion by Parker. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Rizzo.
Partner in crime over there.
Yeah, I tell you.
We don't need.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Anybody else want to be a part of the hiring process?
Oh, no.
No, all right.
You're not
Yeah,
gonna send me
Parker.
back on overqualified, are you?
What's that?
I've gotten those letters.
Well, the one thing that we did too, I know I don't wanna drag this, but we did, even though we had a rate in there, once we got some numbers, maybe we had to come back and ask for a rate that was different based on who. So that's something we could potentially vote on later.
All right. Moving on to new business. Next on the list, we have approval of 2017 meeting dates. Everybody should have a copy of that in the packet as well. As you can see, some of them are the second week in the month. We normally meet the first week, but that's going to correspond with holidays so that we can have full participation. So,
I know.
January, September, and July. So do I have a motion to approve
I'll
the
motion.
meeting dates?
I'll second.
Got a
before
motion by,
Rizzo goes.
motion by Humphries, second by
Myself.
Sit down.
Seidel.
Fine.
And all in favor?
Oh,
Any opposed? Motion passes.
this.
Next we have Romeo Record 2017 Community Guide ad.
And I have some good news about this. I talked to the editors and they're willing to go 50%.
And that's on any size ad?
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Is this for
Where's this
the
ad
year?
going in, the record, or? what?
That's
The
the
record, yes.
community guide, yeah.
And it'll be, they're gonna do a separate community guide. You know how we used to years ago have it, and they tell all about like Elmont, Armada, Romeo, Bruce, all the historical, plus then it has all the historical phone numbers for everybody.
Start saving money now.
It's just to tell everybody about the community, and then a lot of businesses advertise in there, so it's a nice thing to have.
Did we miss the deadline?
No, they extended
no,
it,
they
I think.
extended it, yeah. I
do
asked
we,
them
do
to
we have
get it
anything
extended.
designed that could be in there, or do we?
It's December 16th, the deadline. and-
Not on
That's the
hand,
ad
but
copy, right?
we could do it fairly quickly, I guess,
Guys,
with our new logo.
I don't see anything that we would get out of this. I think it's a waste of money, and if you bring it to a vote, I will vote no, just so you understand how I feel about it.
You might get your picture on the front.
I doubt that, nor would I care.
Well, I figure for $350, we're at
could save
least
it.
getting our name out there. We put a lot of money in other magazines that
I
went,
don't think we should.
A calendar of events would be nice.
Well, they're giving us, I mean, if we did a quarter page for $249, we'd actually be paying half that, right? You
Correct.
said? Okay. If we're gonna do something, it should be something with, if it's just DDA logo, phone number, website,
it's
I
not worth it.
agree with Bill, it's a waste of money, but if we do something with
Is this an
upcoming
opportunity
events,
to promote
I
what we
think
just
for a
discussed
half
about the
page for
flowers?
$200 is not
not without a
bad.
picture,
Yeah.
not without a picture.
We have a picture we just did for that magazine.
Of the flowers, though, he's saying of the what we just approved. Basically, it's showing that we're adding flowers to downtown.
But we
and
don't have anything that would show that.
That was the point. Yeah, but
Point taken.
Any, information you're talking about like that should be on our own website, you know, like what we're doing downtown,
Well,
like the flowers and this and that.
sure. But if we are gonna do something in the community guide, what is it that we're putting in there? Is it a list of upcoming events?
Probably.
Because really, for us, that's only
Harvest
That's
Days.
only Harvest Days. That's the only event we do. Is it just a contact? Is it just to have?
Contact.
We're part of the community.
Well,
we're putting our.
Part of the community.
I think,
Can't think
I
of-
think even if we're listing other people's, you know, if our goal at one point was to hold some spot on our webpage, everybody could
Right.
go and load all their events and things
Mhm.
that are happening. Our problem in town is no one's talking to each other when it comes to that.
Right.
So we should probably be the main voice when it comes to that, and I think even putting it up in the ad is,
I get where you're going, but well, okay. But for instance, Carol, is the MRP putting out? Are they going to have their events listed in this thing? Because then you're just having twice the information
Right.
in there. So are you guys going to? So do we need it if we're only adding one event
Probably not,
to
yeah.
it?
No, I think it should be one showing the town that we have an active DDA and doing something similar to what we did in that magazine,
Mm-hmm.
which was very simple, very artistic, very nice,
Right.
and very uncluttered.
Do we have to pay anything for artwork if we want to do something, or would you
We already
just-
have it done.
So you
Yeah,
just,
that one
ran
is
it.
done. We
so
just
you
gotta
just
make sure it's the
replicate
right
that same
size.
thing and
Yeah.
shrink it down?
Just a thought.
Mhm.
All right. I'm doing a newsletter to send out to the businesses. All right. At some point in time, you know, I'd like to be able to say that we have, you know, we've remade these connections with all of these groups and we're all
Mhm.
working together again. So at that point, when it's time to send the newsletter out to hopefully the residents, we put it in the record as an insert. And then everybody would get it.
So you're save the $200 for then?
Well,
But this is going to every single home in the village.
The record?
Plus,
Does it go to every home?
this
the community
community
guide.
guide is going to.
Okay.
Gets
They're gonna
mailed to
have
the
all
home, or it
over.
gets put
They're
in
gonna
the
do an every door
business?
direct
So,
mailer?
okay.
I don't know how exactly they're gonna do it.
It's not just subscribers, it's everybody gets it.
Mhm.
Or it's not just piled up at the restaurants?
It'll be at the restaurants, it'll be
But you're gonna get
online.
one in your mailbox?
That I don't know how. I can talk to Larry and ask him.
Did
Yeah,
we-
that was kind of my question.
Did we do it in the chamber guide? Did we miss the deadline in that?
I think we missed the
did.
deadline.
So
We
we didn't
okayed
do
it,
it.
but missed the deadline.
We
Okay.
missed the deadline.
And I think this is if not more important than the chamber one even, because this goes to the residents.
So for $100, is it worth doing an 8th page of an ad just to be relevant and have our stamp on there? For $100, I think to be part. Well, I mean,
But
but
do we
really,
have
what
a
is
mess-
what's that
The
extra
book
space
is only
gonna?
this big.
What's the extra space? What's a quarter page really gonna do versus an 1/8 of a page?
Well, that's why I was saying $200, half page. At least
Oh,
it's
you think a half
noticeable.
page? I don't think we. I think.
And we do have money in our marketing budget.
Not anymore,
Do we have a
bought flowers.
message that we're trying to get out though, a specific
Just
message?
that
Or
we're here.
are we just
That's-
in search of something we
No,
could
that's
put on there?
just to me the message is we're here, and I don't think
And
that.
and don't forget about us, and we're trying to do nice things for you.
All right, we got $1,300 in meetings and conferences that we're never gonna spend. You wanna spend $200 out of that?
Well, I think we have money in the marketing budget, don't we?
Well, I don't know. I can't,
Carol,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
answer the
It's
questions.
out of my-
I don't see it.
Yeah, I see it.
Advertising and promotions.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
$2,000.
2,000.
got 2,000 in there, so.
I'll make a motion to approve a quarter page ad. You wanna go ahead?
I'm going ahead.
Half. I'll make a motion to go half.
How often does this come out?
It's
Once.
Once a year.
Just once? Okay.
So does that mean 2 motions are on?
No, I didn't finish mine, so we have a
Who
motion
seconded it?
by Humphreys.
Does anyone
Do we
want
have a
to
second?
Someone seconding Carol's?
At the-
On the second, Carol.
Randy did.
All right, we got a motion by Humphreys, second by Seidel. For a half page
At
ad.
half price.
At
At
half
half
price,
price.
$200 for the 2017 community guide put out by The Record.
Using existing artwork.
Yes.
We're not
Okay.
paying for any artwork.
We get
Well-
time for discussion on this, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can, yeah.
We got
Okay,
till 2.
we're gonna put our logo, that's the artwork we're talking about?
No, there's some other piece.
Well, no, because it's,
Or what we were,
I'll do it and I won't charge, but that previous publication that we put that ad in didn't have our new logo, so
Okay.
we'd either have to update it or change it around a little bit, so it wouldn't be
But
the
you'll
exact
fix
same
it.
one.
my,
Yeah.
my question is still though, what is our message? What is,
It's just an advertisement for
My-
ADA.
My thought is that we're here and that's,
Bringing all those lovely flowers in downtown Romeo.
Well, yeah, you can even say that.
There should be
It's all it
something
is.
saying
It's
that,
a, it's
you
a
know, what we're doing.
representation ad. It's
Harvest
not
Day,
gonna-
look forward to seeing
Are
you
we
at
doing
the,
Harvest Days again next year?
I don't think we have a choice.
If we
Why?
don't, we're gonna have a lot of extra money. All right,
Hmm?
motion's on the table.
All right.
Call the question.
Humphries?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
Jacob?
Nope.
Hayes?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Rizzo?
yes.
Parker?
I already told you.
Make it official.
No.
Motion carries.
Curmudgeons are on
Motion
this side.
carries.
Curmudgeons, is that what you said?
Yes, I said curmudgeons.
All right.
Oh, God,
Um,
Can you skip
I'm
C?
I'm almost thinking we don't even discuss the Northeast Quadrant
No.
dumpster corral because
we
we've
don't have the
already,
money.
we don't have the money. I mean, it's a nice thought and
Okay.
we went and scouted some locations. We did put some thought into it, but
Well,
maybe at
that's,
enough. Where's it coming from? Come on.
right, but there's still opportunities for grants, there's opportunities for our village
matching.
council to chip in some money.
But then we can do that, but we, yeah.
In point of
But
fact,
I would say table till January, February.
I'd say, we don't need to make a decision on it, but I think
Right.
it's something we could still
I brought it up
pursue.
because
Why do you think we table all the other stuff?
I brought it up because the number of dumpsters back there has multiplied as the number of food businesses have multiplied. We now have 4 places selling or serving food, including there's the gas station does, Buscemi's is a major portion of their business, and there's 2 restaurants there. Those are all sitting on my property out of my sheer generosity and
restaurants
kindness.
still-
No, that's,
no?
all that crap is on my property. Thank you very much.
Oh.
And I did it originally for Richard when he needed an approval for his site plan, which included a second story on Buscemi's. It never came to pass. If you look, what's going on in that quadrant is nowhere near as offensive
is what goes on in the southeast quadrant.
Agreed.
If we were sitting here with some money, then, and I don't think we're totally broke yet, but I may get us there. We ought to at least stop and consider the fact all of this, pardon me, crap and garbage is there. It certainly isn't an improvement in the downtown, and it will not happen unless somebody outside an individual property owner says, damn it, we've got to do something about it. It's the only reason it happened in the northwest quadrant, which Ted's had to put up with this headache for years.
Yes,
It may or may not
Is it
have gotten
possible, would it
solved.
fit on
The logical place would be
Yeah.
behind the gas station.
Right.
well, that's private property. Would it fit on the part where the cars butt up to?
Sure.
Like we did in the other one?
You,
Could we
you
build
could
one
take
there?
out a parking spot or two.
You don't even have to do that, it fits right on the cement.
We've
You
got
can make it
those pictures there. I mean, if you want to take a look at it, we actually looked and having those behind the gas station, like Bill said, I don't think there's anything wrong with approaching them because not only does that clear out some space, but I think we said it would free up another 4 parking spots too, where the dumpsters are on your lot right now.
If it comes as an official request from the DDA
And the
Um,
village, maybe.
and the village to the gas station people, it means a hell of a lot more than me walking over and saying, guys, let's put the garbage together behind your building, which would go absolutely nowhere. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a big deal difference if you have to answer to a governmental agency. Yeah, and I did pose a question to Mike the other day because it is a regular and reoccurring problem. It used to be far worse in the northwest quadrant where people pull up with their damn trucks and they bring their garbage to the village and dump it. And
I
you're
got a
getting it in
dumpster.
yours.
They don't dump it because mine are locked, so they put it on top.
Right. I've looked at this stuff behind my building and I'm done with it.
I had a bag of
And,
raccoons.
and I've asked Mike to find out what we need to do to have an ordinance of some type that, even if it's just a littering ticket, if we have to go through the garbage,
It's an offense now. It's
it's a,
an
Well, how
it's
can
it's a
the two
visual offense
restaurants-
to
no, it's an
me.
enforceable offense.
Okay, and I asked and Mike
Not
didn't
have
know
a
that,
place to
so.
dump their garbage.
The restaurants,
Yeah.
don't they? There's 3 or
He's
4
saying
dumpsters.
they're done, it's
I'm telling you,
on his
people are
property.
driving up
He's
in
talking
their
about
trucks and dumping
individual.
garbage
I watched
in our
them.
dumpsters.
No, Four Corners
I've watched them,
and
I know
Yum
who they
Yum.
are.
Where are their dumpsters?
In
Right
Bill's
behind
lot, right?
How could they get occupancy without a dumpster
Really?
thing?
Their dumpster's actually
Oh.
on the pad behind their building.
We'll talk
No,
later
there's
about
no
it.
dumpster
Okay.
there. There's
none
only
back there.
there's
Well,
only a
there's
grease
a-
trap.
There's a which is right on a road.
Right.
I agree with you though.
But
There's,
how do they get occupancy permit if they don't have a place to dump their garbage?
the village has nothing in their ordinances, from what I can determine, that if you want to open a restaurant there, it's fine with us. There are no requirements that you take care of the rats.
There's
Okay.
nothing in the.
You got it.
In the
End of
zoning order
statement.
or planning?
You could not open a business in the townships or any other municipality that I have ever seen or heard of in the last 20 years without providing some type of corral that is brick or all types of things are acceptable, but everybody goes with brick because you have fewer problems with it. And I just wanted, whether we make a decision about it or not, there are cheap ways of doing it without spending a king's ransom.
Can you investigate that and let us know?
Well, I think why don't we take just put some bids together and
Make a
take it to the
subcommittee.
village.
Well, do
We
we?
can talk about it,
The
Randy, but
grants.
and it's not just my quadrant.
There's a couple of them.
I mean, you go look behind that.
Echo.
Um,
Well, the
you've got
subcommittee
rustic
was actually
bluebird.
out Saturday walking through all of them.
You got the rustic bluebird, and now you've got the
Exactly.
Main Street,
I-
and you got lots of garbage back there, and you have the
Well, now you got
even
the-
bigger problem in the other
There was
quadrant.
there was
Chinese
what
restaurant.
about
Chinese
7
restaurant.
dumpsters just in the northwest
Around
quadrant
Village
alone.
Park.
Yeah, right
Go
around the
sit
park.
and have your lunch out there.
And I mean, we got to. I mean, I agree with Bill. We got to start somewhere. And if there are, I mean, really, what does it cost to build out lay some brick and
Oh, it's
Well, you already
expensive.
got that bid. They charge $30,000.
It should be less than 10 grand.
I can't
to do
imagine
that.
it.
That should
costing
be-
$30,000.
insane.
With
That's
footings and leveling, it cost 30 grand last time.
But-
It's,
Yeah, I think
you
they
can build a
overpaid by
basement,
20
you can
grand.
do a basement for less than that.
We can table this, but
One
it's
giant
there,
lump sum.
and
okay.
you've got,
Let's start with a letter from the DDA to the owners of BP.
I'll get the name of it.
Okay, and just see if they're open to, because that's what we determined too, that that's the best
You
spot.
would have
Right.
to have some kind of.
Well,
a
you got the
steps to
picture in
take
there.
Is
this.
that
Show it.
spot on village property?
No.
What spot? The BP spot?
Yeah.
No, that's their property. But from what I've seen, at least from how
Can't
they've
you do the same
from
thing
how
we
they've
did
got
at
that place
Southwest
set
Quad?
up, I think they're open to.
They've cleaned it up
They
because
have
they
a
were
lot.
suffering a even bigger chronic garbage dumping than the rest of us.
There were chairs, people dropped
Yeah,
chairs
there's all
back
kinds of
there,
stuff there.
and couches, and
Yes.
For like a year.
I saw it.
Sat there.
So
Bill,
let,
would that be,
So I would suggest
Would
we
we-
at least maybe have some pencil drawings or some quotes, and then we take it. And,
Have an arrow pointing to Randy's.
yeah, no, they already know where it's at.
would that be considered like asking them for, if they would allow us an
Would they
easement?
enter into discussions, would they consider discussing with us something to that effect? We can talk about this, Lisa, it's just, and it's not, there are two other quadrants have got far worse problems than.
they're bad.
But I think your fix is cheaper.
That's the easy solution.
Their
That's the
fix is-
easiest.
Right,
The
that's
simplest
a low fruit.
solution is to cut way down on the number of dumpsters and get it emptied every day.
Right.
That's the simplest thing you could possibly do.
Right. No, I agree.
I know, like, as an aside, I know that Roy actually has a camera that looks at that stuff. You know, it's, when we see crap out there, he says, you know, I can run the tape back and find out who's doing it.
Yeah, you could have a sign. too
How,
for
how does the
illegal
current
dumping.
corral work? Do you and Youngers pay for individual
Youngest pays
dumpsters, or
for,
is it a combined?
pay for our own.
Okay.
So you got multiple dumpsters in there?
There's two of them in there.
Okay.
They're two large ones.
Too large, yeah.
I didn't know, I just,
Yeah.
Where do the other businesses?
we do it
Dump.
privately.
Everybody
Well,
else does it
behind-
privately,
We hide it.
Behind the car wash, they have a dumpster,
Right.
cause that's a
Right.
gas station.
right?
And then
There's two
somebody
there.
went around town, and so you got different grease traps or grease buckets behind in that
Mhm.
dumpster corral. Cause I used to organize
Right, and there's
that.
a dumpster behind,
It's just
where the
stupid.
Hans building is. There's a
Hans
dumpster
Financial.
back there.
Yeah,
In the
think there's
block
a
where
grease
I,
trap there, too.
with him, I have a little lattice worked off area and there's two carts in there.
Hmm.
And in the buildings that front out on Main Street, they have, under the various places, you'd have to look to see them, but
Yeah, there's a
they've
couple
got-
with,
they've got little carts there and it's, you actually have to look to see them, that they're there, but they're there. The dance studio is under the stairs going
Right.
up to the dance studio, and the hair salon has a little 4x4 boxed area that's got a key on it, and they're all there, it's just,
some are more noticeable than others.
Yeah,
When you
I mean-
got 7 dumpsters in a quadrant, it just, and all in various spots too, it just doesn't make sense. It's not attractive when anybody's walking past or,
No.
And they wouldn't
Well, my-
fit in the parking lot? Where
What
the,
wouldn't?
where that curb is?
for which parking lot?
Bushimi's parking lot.
No, they wouldn't
No.
fit on that curb. It's not as wide.
It's
The
not
other
as
curb
wide as
was-
the one
other curb was
southwest?
engineered to be wide enough for large dumpsters.
Ah.
But
This
the
is-
reason I asked Ted that question was, where we're talking about if we can get the permission to put this corral. Obviously, right now, there's 7 or so dumpsters in that quadrant? I forget the number.
You're talking about the,
4.
Is it 5?
Yeah.
Is this, it's only 4?
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, maybe we only need 2 and we
That's
spread the
it.
cost
Right.
between all the businesses.
well, and it's more, like Bill said, more frequent pickups. You don't need
Right.
that many dumpsters if they're getting emptied every day or every other day. They're probably on, a weekly basis right now?
Well, Ted's is every other day or every day. Yours is every morning, right?
Well, just about every other day.
3 o'clock in the morning. or
Well, at
something.
Paint
Yeah,
Manor, we
you
went to
gotta-
twice
what
a week?
pain.
Right.
Mine-
That took 30 years though, because the last president said buy a compactor for about 30 grand. compact your stuff at your restaurant.
Okay, we've spent enough time on this, let's, just table this discussion. and
Good thing
move
we
on.
Could
tabled that
even
one.
take, 2 parking spots out of the
You just get,
village parking lot.
but that's, none of that is village parking back there, right?
Pardon?
None of that's village parking back there.
Sure it is.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, it
Everything-
is.
Okay.
The only
Right
private
behind
parking
your
are the
feet.
24 places that I have. The rest of that is public,
Oh,
every inch of it.
yeah, I guess I know that.
Next under new business, we have insurance policies, auto pay approval.
Do we wanna just wait until I talk to Merrick and see
Yeah.
what we're doing? Okay.
Table that. All right, next we have board member comments. Don't think we have
Got a
any.
lot already.
Yeah, I know.
Merry
Well, I'll make a
Christmas, ho,
comment.
ho, ho.
Go ahead.
That,
Christmas, Happy New Year.
I voted to approve the next year's meetings, but the probability is that I will only be participating in the first 3. So I may be resigning from the board. Well,
I'm
I
in the
will
same
be.
boat, so I'll let you know.
Because you sold your place, or you're selling your place?
We might be down
That-
two.
That's in the works right now, and I'm kind of relocating.
Well, we did talk to, because I think we all kind of knew that too going into it, and we did speak at the last village meeting, and they approved to bring the number back down on the board that was required, so we don't necessarily have to replace all the seats, but we can do.
Or we can work
So really, there might only be one vacancy that we have to replace at this point,
But I think
so.
we also have to.
Because Megan, we're down Megan too,
We have
obviously,
to
and
revisit,
possibly Lisa.
we have to revisit attendance too, because
We do, yeah.
you can't be on the board if you don't attend.
I thought the
I would
village
say
council
3
had this
now.
on their agenda as reducing the number.
They did,
They
that
did.
was,
And did, what did they do?
they approved it.
12 to 9?
It was, 9 plus the president.
But we're even less than that if you consider the lack of attendance plus Deb, Ron, and Meg's only down, right?
Right.
So they're not cutting me out before I leave now, are
No,
they?
we haven't
No.
cut you out.
No, they're just not replacing you when you
Just cost you a fee
leave.
to come.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I do. Second.
Motion by Parker, second by Rizzo, all in favor?
Aye.